Hey everyone, so today I will be comparing two Makita tools. So this is a Makita rotary scissor and this is a Makita string trimmer. In this video I'm going to show you a little bit how they work and I'm going to give you the pros and cons of these two. And at the end I'll also give you my recommendation which one I would get. So let's get straight into it. Alright, so let's start with the string trimmer. So this is a Makita DUR 181. I think I bought this thing about 6-7 years ago when we moved into the house. I just wanted a cheap string trimmer to trim around the edges. And I bought the Makita one because I already have the Makita tools. So I already had two 18-volt batteries. So I didn't want to spend on a tool where I need to buy new batteries. So I just bought this thing for about, I think it was on sale for about 100 euros, $100, something like that. And it still works just fine. I had no issues with it whatsoever. And I'm not sponsored by Makita or anything like that. I just like their product. And I think their products are very durable and very powerful for just a normal homeowner. So I like their stuff. And there's not much to this thing. It's a normal string trimmer. It only has one string on one side. I know some trimmers have two strings. And there's nothing fancy about this thing. I think this is one of their cheapest string trimmers they have, Makita. And this is what I wanted, something cheap that will get the work done. And one of the biggest benefits of a string trimmer, especially if you have a more powerful one, is that if you have areas like this with a lot of tall grass, weeds and stuff like that, maybe not a lawn, it's outside the lawn, it's really easy to just cover large areas with a string trimmer, just plow ahead. I think that's one of the biggest benefits of a string trimmer. You can just cover large areas, just plow away, and if you hit something hard, a bit of string comes off, then you just push out some more. So it's a really easy, efficient way of just covering large areas. And that works fine when you have areas like that. But if you want to do more precision cutting around edges like this, then it's a bit more difficult with a string trimmer. For me, that's one of the biggest disadvantages of a string trimmer. You have to be so careful. As soon as you slip a little bit, you accidentally just scalp everything. So you really have to be careful and not slip to get that really good precision cut. Otherwise, you'll end up scalping the lawn like I did. And now you might think I did that deliberately just to show you that it can easily scalp, but I actually didn't. I was actually trying to show you how to precision cut with a string trimmer around edges, but it's so easily done. I mean, maybe I'm just bad with this thing. I mean, if you don't keep it really straight, as soon as you slip a little bit, then it will just easily scalp the lawn. And maybe also it's because this string doesn't have any color. So it's really hard for me to actually see where the string is. But if you have like an orange string or something like that, maybe it's easier to actually see where you're cutting. But with this color, I barely see where the string ends. So when it does end up in the ground scalping, that's when I know. And also you can see when I was trimming the tall grass over here, a lot of debris just flies all over the place. So for instance, if I wanted to trim this part here, and I have a lot of POA I can see, this will fly into the lawn. It will spill debris everywhere. Yeah, I don't want to do that anymore because everything is just coming in. Now you could mitigate that by having the guard on. I've taken my guard off because I feel that allows me to see better, especially if I'm doing edges. But still, even with the guard on, debris just flies everywhere. But it's still really easy to use. You can just take it out, put on a battery and use it for quite some time. Especially if you have a 5-amp battery like I do, then I mean you won't run out of battery time unless you have a really huge lawn. And it also barely weighs anything. It's really lightweight. I mean, I still keep it around after 6-7 years because it's just so easy to use. And if you scalp once in a while, I mean, it doesn't really matter. But one thing to be aware of is that the string, if you get close to any hard surfaces like a patio or furnitures or trees or something, this will nick them. So you have to be very careful around trees and stuff. All right, so the pros of this one: good for larger areas with tall grass. It's really easy to use, and it's also reasonably priced. And maintenance wise, it's really easy. I've had this thing for 6 years. The only thing I've done is change strings. That's pretty much the only thing. I've never had any issues with it. Yeah, so that's the string trimmer. Now let's bring out the rotary scissor and let's talk a little bit about that one. All right, so time for the rotary scissor. So the rotary scissor from Makita, and the model name for the Makita attachment is EM407MP. I'll put it on the screen in case I said it wrong. These model names, man. And it fits a few of Makita's power tools. So mine is a DUX60 and it fits two 18-volt batteries. So these are 5 amp 18-volt batteries, so they last quite a long time. And as I said, I had these previously for the other power tools I have from Makita, so I didn't need to buy them. I only bought this thing. And that's one of the issues with the Makita rotary scissor, is that it doesn't fit everything. I mean, the whole reason why I bought one, because I saw so many videos of this thing and it looked really cool and I wanted to try it. But the one you see all over the internet, that's not a Makita one. That's actually a third-party thing, so you have to buy it and then you have to modify it to fit your own tools. And I think I saw a video that buying that one and all the modification tools you need for it, it would end up costing you about $450 or something like that. And we'll get into the price of this one soon. I'll talk a little bit about it because I bought this under a kind of special circumstance, so I'll get into it later on. But for now, let's just try it and see how it works. Now this thing actually weighs quite a bit more, so you need to make sure you use the strap really well, because you can't just hold on to it like this forever. It's really heavy actually. All right, so let's start off by trimming over there where I use the string trimmer with the tall grass, and let's see how it does. Now it did actually really well. It wasn't as dense as I thought it would be. I know I've used it on denser areas and then it actually struggles a bit because stuff just gets stuck in here and it doesn't cut really well. So it did better than it was supposed to do because I know I've used it a lot. I've had this thing for about 2 years. So if it gets really thick and dense, then this really does struggle. So then the string trimmer is better. But where this thing really shines is precision cutting. So let me show you around the edges a little bit. And as you can see, it doesn't spill debris everywhere. The grass just stays where it cuts it. And when I cut really close to the edge here, there's no kickback or anything. You can just go straight up to the edge. And I also just let it rest on this thing. So it's straight on the lawn and it doesn't scalp it or anything. You're very much less likely going to scalp the lawn with a rotary scissor. So I just put it flat on the ground and then just go. And where this thing really does a good job is creating those nice clean edges. But the edge you see here, that's the only edge I actually have. Everywhere else I have these stone borders. But when it comes to cutting edges, if you have a lot of them, then this thing is really nice because it actually kind of latches on between the stone and the grass with the blades, and it helps you keep it straight, and it makes it really easy. It's really good for that. And when it comes to maintenance, this thing is high maintenance, especially compared to a string trimmer. With this thing though, you need to make sure you sharpen the blades, you need to make sure you grease it, you need to make sure you take this off and take away debris in between. And I'm not even sure if you can buy replacement blades. I know for the other one that everyone has on YouTube, this isn't that one. I know you have replacement blades for that one you can buy on Amazon. I'm not sure if they fit this one. I've actually sent an email to Makita asking, can you even buy replacement blades for this? And how much do they cost? So it's a bit more high maintenance if you accidentally ruin this thing, or if you use it a lot for a long time, then you need to keep taking care of it, and it's a bit more work. But then comes the biggest con of them all with this thing, and that's the price. So let me explain the special circumstance when I bought this thing. So I was browsing the internet late at night, as guys usually do, and they want to buy stuff. And I came across this thing, about $100, 100 euros, I think about 1,100 Swedish kroner. And I thought that was a mistake, because these things, the Makita one, they go for about between $500 or $600 euros, somewhere in between there. I think the cheapest one is on Amazon for about 4,900 Swedish kronor or something like that. So I was kind of surprised to find one that cheap. And it was a local hardware store here in Stockholm, a smaller one, none of the big names. So I put in an order just to see what happens. Then I got an email that you can pick the tool up. So I went there and I asked them, is the price actually correct? Because I mean, it's a small business and I didn't have the heart to just get away with it. I actually told them, you know that this must be priced wrong, right? And then they actually went in and checked, and of course it was wrong. They accidentally put in the wrong price on the internet. But as a thank you to me, they said that I could buy it for that same price, and I offered to pay more. I mean, I bought it, and I don't know, I always want to support small businesses. So we came to an agreement to buy it for half the price. And I said, fine, that's fine. But if it wasn't for that, I would never, ever, ever recommend anyone getting one of these. They're cool, they're awesome, they have a lot of benefits. They give you a much nicer cut. Much like a cylinder mower, it cuts the grass like scissors. So you'll get a very, very much nicer cut with this thing than a string trimmer that just slashes things off. But there are really cheap string trimmers you can get, and you can keep them for years and years and just use them, and you only use them for round edges. That's all you use them for. Why would you ever pay 400 or 500 euros or dollars for something like this? It's more expensive, it's higher in maintenance. I mean, why would you ever buy one of these? I just don't get it. A string trimmer will do just fine. It will get the job done. You don't need one of these. I mean, even for a lawn nerd like me, where cutting quality is a big part of everything, never. I think the string trimmer works just as good. Maybe not just as good. This thing does have better quality cuts, but it's not worth it. Don't buy one of these. I can't recommend anyone getting one of these. I mean, let's take this thing for instance. For the price of one of these, I could get 4 of those string trimmers. I would much rather have 4 of those string trimmers than one of these. It just doesn't make sense. So unless you can find a really cheap one, I would say just stick with the string trimmer. It will do just fine. You don't need this. It's cool, but nothing more than cool, I would say. And maybe there's some aspect I haven't thought about. So if you do have one of these, or you think of something else, just please leave that in the comment, because I can't make sense of this thing, why it costs so much and why it would be worth for anyone to buy one of these things. It just doesn't make sense. Just buy a string trimmer and be happy with it. Don't get one of these. So this is just a short comparison. And if you have any other questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer as many as I can. All right, thanks you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.